Thanks for joining us. I'm Abby Bennett, Director of Product Management here at ThreatX, and I'm here today to take us through a high-level demonstration of ThreatX's always active API security capabilities for DevSecOps. So I'd like to start with how we've extended our runtime API and application protection offering, or as we like to say, RAP, to detect vulnerabilities within APIs by leveraging eBPF technology. eBPF stands for Extended Berkeley Packet Filter. It's a technology that allows for the safe and efficient execution of programs in the Linux kernel without changing kernel source code. Because eBPF lives at the kernel level, it's able to provide deep observability and network and runtime events. We've leveraged this technology to not only observe and track API activity, but to identify potential vulnerabilities within APIs. All right, so here we're looking at our new vulnerabilities dashboard, which captures all potential vulnerabilities identified by our RAP solution. You'll see important details such as when the vulnerability was identified, the estimated risk, and what stage the vulnerability is in within its lifecycle. So we'll go ahead and click on the sensitive excessive data exposure vulnerability that's flagged as a new and high priority vulnerability. By clicking on a vulnerability type, you can get granular understanding of how and where the vulnerability was identified. Another way to gain quick understanding of the vulnerability identified is to use the visual filters. Using these filters, you can quickly narrow the vulnerability results to view specific vulnerabilities such as high, medium, or low risk, or net new vulnerabilities, for example. Let's dive into dynamic scanning and vulnerability remediation with ThreatX. Our runtime API and application protection solution takes a proactive approach by integrating with a dynamic scanning tool specifically designed for comprehensive API vulnerability testing. By leveraging the insights gained from real-time production traffic and then analyzing the traffic, we can identify current usage patterns and potential weaknesses in API endpoints. We have the capability to then execute targeted dynamic API test scans for pre-prod and production applications. This method ensures that our vulnerability testing is always aligned with the latest API behavior and uses the most up-to-date current test plans. You can run these dynamic scans right here in the vulnerabilities dashboard. After a scan completes, the scan results will be returned and populated in the dashboard. When a vulnerability has been confirmed by the dynamic scan, ThreatX provides options to remediate. The first option being virtual patching. Virtual patching can be applied at the edge to protect against exploits and reduce the time to remediation. When virtual patching is requested, you'll see a patch icon appear next to the vulnerability name to signify a virtual patch has been requested but not yet applied. The other option would be to use ThreatX's ticketing system integration to send a remediation request to your dev team for permanent remediation. This request will be reflected in the dashboard's status column. You'll see the status of the vulnerability automatically reflect assigned to dev. Once dev has remediated, the status will update to dev completed. A dynamic scan can now be rerun to confirm that the vulnerability no longer exists. Finally, once confirmed, you can mark this vulnerability as fixed. We've walked through the lifecycle of a vulnerability from initial identification to final remediation. ThreatX's vulnerabilities dashboard provides the visibility and workflows needed to prioritize and remediate vulnerabilities swiftly and efficiently. In summary, ThreatX's always active RAP solution empowers DevSecOps to persistently address API vulnerabilities with runtime insights and dynamic testing for actionable vulnerability remediation and protection. To learn more about ThreatX's runtime API and application protection and vulnerability management for always active API security, request a personalized demonstration at ThreatX.com.